Hey y'all, so this is an amendment to the tutorial that I have created about the Giphy API. I just wanted to create a really quick tutorial for anybody that doesn't have any web code experience. This will just kind of help onboard you to how things are working together. Okay, so this is the HTML sheet. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And everything is linked, so all of our other two files, the JS, the JavaScript file, and then also our CSS file, they are linked through this HTML file. So the CSS file is linked here. This is already done for you. And then the JavaScript file is linked here. And then also the libraries that you need, which are in the package of code, are here. Okay, so what we're looking at is we're looking at what actually allows you to put content in the page. So if I launch this, page, this is actually representing what I put in that HTML file. It doesn't have any style yet, it just has the style that the browser's giving it. So it has no style, but it's just content right now. Okay, so that's what the HTML page does. It just does content. Right? It's kind of like if you're building a house, it's like the, framing, like the wood framing of the house, all right? And so let's just go over like what we're seeing here. So again, here's where you're linking in your style sheet. So for instance, we can go over to the style sheet, the CSS sheet, cascading style sheets, and we can target one of the pieces of HTML. The individual pieces of HTML that kind of highlight when you click on them, see that? They have an open tag and a close tag. This is the open tag. The one with the slashy friend is the close tag. We can target those and we can give them style. Like for instance, it's body tag. The body tag is where anything that's going to go in your page goes. Everything else is just like information for your page. You don't have to worry about any of this stuff. You can turn it on or off. You just don't need it for the time being. So if we want to target the body, we would just say body because it's a standard tag, right? It's a highest level tag. And we could give it a background color. And let's just go with like you can just do these colors here, or I love a chartreuse. So as you can see, that changed the background color of my page here. Okay. Same thing with, let's see, like for instance, the input. If I want to style the input, I can do the same thing here. I can say input. So you use the selector, and then you do a block, and then you say the CSS property and value pair that you want to use to style it. So again, we'll say background color, and let's do like aqua friend. All right, so now we have this background that's aqua. Super ugly. I love it. All right, so let's so that's how we can like target individual pieces of HTML. These are called elements. That's how we can target the HTML elements via their selector, okay? With CSS, again, the CSS is linked here. So the CSS is what makes it look like something and how you can do like layout and other things like that. And the HTML is like how you get stuff into your page. Now, one thing I want to highlight that's probably the most confusing thing about HTML and CSS is the fact that we can get more specific with our names. So for instance, let me close this. I don't know why this is mad at me. So for instance, let's say I have two buttons and I want one button to look one way and another button to look another way. I can style that button, right? So I can totally say button, because that's again the name of the tag itself. I can say button, and I want the background color on the button to be black, or maybe I want to give it like a box shadow, just to show you some other cute things you can do. Box shadow of let's say like 2 pixels, 2 pixels, so horizontal, vertical, the spread, and then the blur, and then a color. Okay, so check it out. Now I have two buttons that have a background. Let's do that blur a little more. I like a good blur. Oh wait, that's a spread. OMG. That's a spread. This the blur. Ooh, we cute. Look at that. Okay. Um, so what? I didn't want to just open that. I don't know what just happened. Get out of here. All right. So again, that's going to style both of the buttons. But let's say you want the buttons to be different colors, right? We have these ways of sort of delineating between different tags, right? So this one has a certain name, okay, with an ID. So the user input submit and button alone. Okay, so we can target these elements individually. So this will be general style for all buttons, but then for instance, I can say like, actually, okay, so I want all the buttons to have a background color of black, and then maybe, you know, color will be for the type, they'll be white. But I want to do like different shadows on them, okay? And so to call the elements ID here, you have to say hashtag. So hashtag button alone means any element that is named button alone, that has an ID of button alone. And if you think about it, IDs and then also what's called a class, it's another way of naming something. Those are just ways of naming the elements. I kind of like to think about it as like, you know, if you had like 10 humans in the room and you yelled like, hey human, all the humans would turn around. But if you yell the person's name, right, that one individual with that one name would turn around. So it's just a way to like specifically select things. All right, so the most confusing part is, are you using a class or an ID? IDs are meant to be used one time and one time only. If you try to use them again, your code will break. Classes you can use over and over again. So for instance, if you gave something a class, let's say you want all your buttons to be the same, you can give them all the same class, okay? And it's really meant to like save you time for coding, but I've made this HTML as all IDs. So all you have to worry about is that ID is literally synonymous with a hashtag. It literally means the same thing. It's just a language conversion. It's literally like cat and gato. Like it's literally the same thing, right? And then just since we're here, a class is a period. Okay, so if you're in a CSS sheet and you see like dot something, that's saying a class of this, right? Which is again just another way that you can name a tag. Okay, we're gonna use IDs, and that means we use a hashtag. Okay, so again, just ID is literally just a hashtag, and a class is literally just a period. It's the same thing. It's just a different way of notating it. All right, so if we want to get more specific, maybe we want to give this one a different type of box shadow. Maybe we want to give it a green box shadow, okay? So what that means is that it'll take in all the styles for the button, but then it'll sort of overwrite this last style with its own individual style. I meant to hit save, not cut. Cool, okay, so there we go. We got two separate things. You know, if you want them to be like completely different, you can go ahead and do that. You can redo it all, right? So you can do the background color white, and the color, which is the color of the type, black, and then the box shadow we can do as blue. And then maybe we put some margin on them, so maybe we just say like margin, top, right, bottom, left. So I'm gonna I'll leave the top alone. The right, I'll say, actually I'll do this other shorthand. So top and bottom is going to be 0, and then the right and the left is going to be like 2VW, just so we can give it some space. Okay, cool. There we go. All right, so the last thing that we should talk about, now that we kind of understand the relationship between CSS, HTML, and just to reiterate, these are your HTML elements, and each element has an opening tag with the 2 carets and a closing tag with the /e and the carets. Okay? CSS is linked here, and then everything that you need for JavaScript is linked here. And then what we have over here is that we have the selector, the HTML selector. We have the block, which is where your properties, which are here, and your values go. All right, so let's just take a look at the JavaScript. So we are using a JavaScript file that is dependent on these P5.js libraries. And the P5 libraries it's literally just from this page here. If you just go to Getting Started, it'll just walk you through like exactly what you need to do to mix this into your web project. So lots of really great resources, and that is linked right at the top here, this Get Started page. Okay, so in the JS file, the JS is what does interactivity. Okay, so HTML is sort of like the backbone, the structure, the beams of your house. CSS is going to be the layout and the visualization. Maybe you can also think about like I don't know, the aluminum siding and the paint color choice and the plants in front. And then this metaphor sort of falls apart when I get to JavaScript. But JavaScript is for your interaction, right? Or for anything that you're doing with data. And we're using data in this file, and we're using interaction. And again, we're linking this at the bottom of our page here after we've declared everything that we want in our page.